Final scores from Fir Park: Celtic 3, Motherwell 1. Lots we could talk about, Paddy, but let's just talk about Jota. The main man returning with a goal on his second debut for Celtic. This is Tino with the final whistle show, joined here by Paddy. Paddy, your initial response to that one?
I think just absolutely brilliant to see him in the hoops again. Absolutely brilliant to see him popping up and scoring again for us. And I think for me, it's felt a wee bit surreal that he's re-signed for us. And I think there, just watching him score that goal at the end, I think every single one of us, obviously you see the emotion from the main man himself, but I think every single one of us just thought, oh God, he's back. It's absolutely brilliant to see. And people saying he needs to get up to speed. I don't know what the speed he needs to get to. He looks absolutely fine. I think he's going to be massive for us in the run-in for this season.
Yeah, do you know, I thought if that's a half-sharp Jota, I cannot wait for him to be up to full flow. He had a couple of touches just to kind of find his feet, but there was definitely flashes of, let's call it the old Jota, the Jota that we know and love. And at 25, Paddy, he's got some big moments ahead of him in a Celtic shirt. Don't know if you caught it just there. I caught Aidan McGady's comments on it, and generally speaking, quite positive, but he was a wee bit dismissive of the emotion that Jota showed. And I don't think you can knock that, because Jota he's a pretty emotional guy, pretty heart on sleeve kind of guy. And he's had a year and a half in the wilderness. I don't know much by way of his personal life, what's going on there, but it looks like he's been a guy who's been pretty unhappy over the last year and a half, and that's played a huge part in why he's returned to Celtic, a place where he's roundly adored by fans, coaches, teammates alike. And I think you're entitled to show a wee bit of emotion. That's football. Football's an emotional sport, and I think if he wants to bawl his eyes out, then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've not caught those comments, Tino, but I'm assuming it's just McGeady no happy that he's sitting in the studio having to watch it, probably still wishing he was pulling on the hoops himself. We'll maybe put it into that for him, because I tell you what, like we've seen what Aidan McGeady could do for Celtic. We're also just not watching another magician in the park for us as well, and I think that it's the good things to come. Probably letting out a lot of frustration that he's maybe had over the last 18 months. And you know what? I think good for him. Good for him. Just get yourself back in the straight and narrow and show what you're capable of. Show what you got you to move in the first place. Because I'm pretty sure there was plenty of European teams looking at Jota during his time at Celtic. And we're lucky to have him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And picking up where he left off as such, going out to the away fans and leading the chants, leading the dancing, and in many ways, Paddy, it's like he's never been away. We've obviously started at the wrong end. We'll try and get it back to the start of the day, and we'll see where we go from there. Just a big thanks and welcome, first of all, to everyone that's joining us here on the live. Remember, you do need to be a channel member to comment, to ask your questions and make your comments to myself and Paddy. Good to see Kenny Carmichael here. Kenny's a new member and good pal of the show, so cheers for that, Kenny. So anyone else wants to sign up, there is a link in the show notes to do so. Paddy, as I say, we'll take it back to the start of the day, and a couple of changes, a couple of tweaks to the lineup, which I think you've got to do. It's been quite a relentless time. Alistair Johnson steps out and Tony Ralston comes in. You've got Luke McEwen getting a start in place of Arne Engels, and Daizen Maeda back from suspension during the week. He comes back in to join a front three. So it's Maeda, it's Idah, and it's Nicholas Kuhn. What do you make of the choices in terms of the lineup?
Yeah, I think right place, right time. Probably a team a little bit bereft of confidence after their manager leaving at the beginning of the week. I think that for me, it's when you look at it, we've got a very difficult game coming up against Dundee midweek. Then we've got the Cup, and then we've got Bayern. So effectively, you could play your strongest team on Wednesday now. And again, maybe bring some changes into the fray into the side for the game against Wraith Rovers next Saturday. So it's clever squad management from the gaffer, and I think that what you'll see is hopefully the likes of Jota getting more minutes in the next two games. But one player that certainly has to continue playing at the moment after missing that one was Daizen Maeda. So I'm pretty sure we'll see him in the next two games as well, considering he's going to be suspended for the first leg. But happy with the changes. Thought the boys that come in all gave a good account of themselves as well. I'm pretty sure we're going to come on to it straight away, but a very, very comfortable cross from Tony Ralston for the first.
It's a great pick out. I think that's something that Tony Ralston's got in his locker, and there's been some frustration over the years at times where Tony Ralston's overcooked the cross. I thought on this occasion, right at the very top of the game, I just thought he showed good ability to get out his feet, whip it into a really dangerous area. It's actually a really, really good header. You know, I've seen some of the comments about Larsson-esque and all that kind of stuff, and you can debate it because he's not the tallest Daizen Maeda, but he is decent in the air.
Yes.
But in terms of any fears, Paddy, about him getting back up to speed after missing out during the week, takes him less than a minute and he's back in the game.
Well, he would have been raring to go because I'm pretty sure there will be a sense of guilt considering the red card from young boys and watching what could have been a performance against Aston Villa where we maybe have taken something had he been on the park. So go and make it right, and I think he really set out to do that today. I thought he was everywhere. Doesn't give anyone a minute's peace. Must be an absolute nightmare to defend against. Couple of wayward crosses from him at points, but overall, just his determination and his willingness to get in and get in front of the last defender is crucial for us. And listen, he makes it look easy, but the hard work is the run in, and then it's just guiding that header in from a very, very good cross. Yeah,
really decent goal to get us going. And I think in terms of Daizen Maeda's day's work, he gave a pretty much full Daizen performance, you know, good, bad, in between, all that kind of stuff. But his numbers for the day is 1 goal and 2 assists. Cannot knock it. He's so important to this Celtic side, and you can put that down to opinion. You know, for some that'll be subjective, but the actual facts are there. You know, he scores goals and he assists goals, and he, you know, works as hard as anybody in that team, and he's so important. And we missed him during the week. There's no doubt. You miss guys like him and Carter Vickers, and obviously Kyogo's now away, but there's no doubt that Celtic were going to put in a lesser performance without him. I thought Celtic competed well at Villa, but you missed Daizen Maeda, and it was great to see him back. But at that point, you get the early goal, and you're up against a Motherwell side who are relatively low on confidence. They're in a decent position league-wise. Will they still be 5th after today? Thereabouts. They've obviously lost their manager. It's been a difficult week for the players and the coaching staff that have stepped in. And the hope would be that Celtic would have kicked on at that point. And despite controlling things generally, we weren't quite able to kick on in the way we would have liked.
No, we weren't. And I think that it kind of just shaped up the whole first half for me, to be honest, Tino, and just watching how they look to settle in. And listen, I said to you before we come on the other day, if people are giving Kettlewell abuse for the level and the standard of football they're playing, I can kind of understand a little bit why. They weren't really bringing much to the party, and they made it very, very difficult for us in terms of trying to break them down. But it was a game that we just looked so comfortable in for the full 90 minutes in terms of possession. I think they were just hoping on mistakes, and they managed to get one. So, yeah, like for a team that are sitting 5th, and I know that they've got their injuries at the moment, another couple of injuries for them today during today's game. I don't see what they're bringing to it, but they're still managing to sit at 5th at the moment. So it's never an easy place to go. It's never as straightforward. In all my years of watching Celtic go to Fir Park, it's always been a difficult place for us. So I think in the manner in which we controlled the game was good, but I would have loved to have seen some more goals. But it's pretty difficult sometimes when you're up against such a back line of 10 effectively at points.
And if you can, you know, score goals at will, which is hard for any team, the next best thing is control the game and control possession, and I think Celtic done that by and large. From a Motherwell point of view, just very quickly, don't want to dwell on them. We debated during the week there, or last week, you, myself and James, about what else the Motherwell fans want. You know, you're sitting 5th in the table. I've not seen much of anything of Motherwell actually with when they play us and maybe a wee bit of the Rangers stuff. But that has turgid. There's frustrations there. And if that's what they've been serving up, then maybe you're better finishing, I don't know, lower down the table, but making it more enjoyable. Football is entertainment. And, you know, I would often say winning's the most important thing. I'm not sure in terms of, you know, in the case for a team like Motherwell, you want to go along to Fir Park and see some sort of entertainment. And if they take out a guy like Lennon Miller, who's obviously injured, there's even less to be looking forward to. So anyway, that's a Motherwell problem. We'll let them deal with that, and we'll see what they do. They do get their goal, Paddy. It's around about 23 minutes. It's Luke Armstrong, a guy I think's on loan from Carlisle, and I don't see a great deal wrong with it. There is hands on Carter Vickers, but I don't think enough to warrant the goal getting chopped out. What's your take?
No, I think the hands are on him before he even jumps as well, Tino. So at that point, you'd still need to be strong. You might be getting into the jump, but I think he's made the jump and put the arms up straight away, almost anticipating that he would get the foul. So no complaints for me on that one. It's weak from Carter Vickers, and it's a very difficult one for Austin Trusty, just because maybe expecting his centre half to get it, but just shows you just need to be always on your toes. The way that the ball can bounce, and seeing Kasper Schmeichel just go through the two of them straight away, I can understand why. They need to wake up a bit there.
Yeah, as a centre half pair, and I think both can do better. I think Carter Vickers, we know how commanding and strong he usually is, and I don't like guys taking a tumble. I've gone about this a lot, but it's Connor Goldson stuff for me. You feel anything, a wee hand on your shoulder and you're down. I think Carter Vickers got to stand up better to that. Yeah. And Trusty, I don't know, I'm wary I've been too critical, because it just, you're expecting your centre half partner to deal with it. But as you say, you've got to be on your toes and expect the unexpected, and he's not reacted well. It's just bounced off him. Fair play to the guy. He's just kind of turned and banged it in, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, Motherwell have got something back out of the game. At that point, though, it's not really too long before Celtic kick on. I mean, did you have any fears at one each that we were going to have one of those days?
Not necessarily. As I say, I think we took a lot of control in the first 20-25 minutes, and it kind of took me back to obviously the 4-0 game at Boxing Day. We dominated the game on that day as well with the possession. I think that I wasn't entirely worried in terms of how it would pan out for us. We seemed to kind of struggle with the ball at points in the middle, just in terms of some of our passing, just looking to make it a little bit sharper. But I don't know if the surface maybe played a part of the day to you. I really don't like bringing that in as an excuse, but for how we were trying to play the game, for the speed that we were trying to play it at, it just looked as if a few things weren't coming off for us. Shout out though for me again, I've seen one of the guys comment for Rio Hatate. I thought definitely an orchestrator for us. Once again, he's in a very good run at the moment. Seems to have got the tail up and seems to be, putting a few doubters to the sword the way he's going just now. So long may that continue. He's been excellent.
Yeah, the comments from Tommy Dawson saying that Hatate was so calm on the ball today and orchestrated the game. And I think he's got that in his locker, Hatate. At times, he can frustrate due to a lack of consistency, but at times, I'm saying this respectfully, it looks too easy for him. He takes that extra touch. He's got that confidence in himself, and he's, just in full control of the situation at any given time. I thought he had a really decent game. And I think it's interesting that the opinions on Taylor, it really is. Some people have got their predisposed opinion on Taylor, and it doesn't matter what he does now. He can bang in a couple of goals and set up a couple, and it's, but still, did you see that one? He's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't at times. I thought he'd, overall, a very decent game and some decent moments. There's nothing to moan about Taylor today. At times you will watch a performance and go, do you know what? The signs are there. Today's not the day. If you don't like Taylor, that's fine. Just keep it in your back pocket for another day, because I don't think he warrants much, if any, criticism for today, generally speaking. We get the goal to go 2-1 ahead, Paddy. Again, it's Daizen Maeda that's heavily involved. It's just a nice passage of play down the left-hand side by Celtic. A cute pass in from Luke McCowan to free Maeda coming in on the left-hand side. He whips it across. And at the time, I put something out on Twitter. It's just a real number 9 goal. Stay between the posts, get across your marker, and just smash it in. It's just a really decent goal from a frontman point of view. And from Adam Idah's side of things, it's a continuation of what was already a very good week for him. It's a good goal.
It really is, and I think it's very good anticipation from him. I think that we've been speaking quite a lot about the strikers lately, and especially with Kyogo, a few, myself included, saying that I think the system's set up that he's more of a decoy. He pulls players away in order to create the space in behind. But ultimately, you still want to see your number 9 go and score goals. And I think that it was the anticipation for me today. And I actually felt that he ran the line very well today. I thought that he didn't allow them to kind of really start anything on the deck. He kept at them. And I think it's just a very good goal. And just his confidence from Wednesday night to today, it's massive for him. And listen, I know we're going to come on to the transfers a little bit later, but I think for him, he'll not be looking at who's going to come in terms of this guy's coming in to take his jersey. that's his jersey just now, and I think that's the way he'll be looking at it, and that'll be the mindset for Adam Idah. And the more games he plays, and I think the way our manager spoke about him after Villa, talking about, you know, he's still got another level to go. That's great determination for him. He's scoring. He scored 3 and 2. You want him to continue on that vein of form, and hopefully you just start to begin to see what Adam Idah is really capable of playing consistently.
And that's what he needs, Paddy, doesn't he? You know, we've seen all the evidence that Adam Idah can do it at any given moment in any given game. He's been involved in some huge moments for Celtic, generally speaking, since he arrived, first on loan and now permanent. And I wonder if he just took the confidence that he is now the number one senior striker until something changes. And, you know, and we will get to it because, you know, there should be moves in the next 24 hours. But at the moment, he's the man. And I thought he took that confidence into the game today. I thought he led the line really well. He was just a great outball for Celtic. He was putting himself... It didn't always come off for him. A couple of his layoffs and knockdowns and whatever weren't perfect. But he was just a real presence. And actually, there was a wee bit of disappointment that he came off with 10 to go, because at 2-1 down, 2-1 up, sorry, you're never completely home and hosed. And you know that Motherwell would look for set pieces and long balls and throw-ins. And I think Sutton said it in commentary, you could probably do with an Adam Idah in times like that. But overall, he had a very good game, and he should be feeling good about himself. What if push comes to shove, Paddy, and we don't get anyone in? However, you know, pleased as well with Idah in the here and now. It can't be great going into the remainder of the campaign with just Idah, just Johnny Kenny. It looks like Daniel Cummins has gone to West Ham. I think he signed a pre-contract. That seems to be confirmed. And they may try and take him early. They may try and take him just now. So you've not got the option of Cummins, albeit we barely used him, if at all. You know, the night against Villa was his one and only appearance. So Johnny Kenny, who kicks his heels again for 90 minutes today, and Daizen Maeda, who obviously slotted in at centre forward. What's your take if there's no further moves?
I'd be disappointed. I absolutely, I wouldn't hide away from that. However, I do think in terms of what we've got to look forward to for the remainder of the season, what we have is enough domestically. I would have liked maybe a Kyogo style player to come in, someone that's going to really replace him and really push Idah to take the jersey, to be in and involved for the Bayern game, give ourselves the best chance, and taking nothing away from Idah. He's scored against the 2 against Villa, so we can do it, absolutely. But I would be disappointed if we don't bring anyone in. However, I do think domestically we do have enough at the same time.
Yeah, there's 2 key reasons for me why you would definitely want someone. It's competition, first of all, because it brings the best out of the other strikers, whoever are there, because complacency can kick in. If you know you're starting every week, then, you know, it wouldn't be a conscious thing, but subconsciously, you know that if you have a great game or an average game, you've still got the shirt next time around. So for competition, I think it's important. And also I think just for cover. Injuries can and do happen. Suspensions can and do happen. So if Idah were to pull up in training this week, don't want to jinx it, but that could happen. What are you going with? Is Maeda your main man for the rest of the season? I just think it's got to be addressed. We're obviously recording tomorrow night, Monday night, in terms of the weekly show, and we will get into it in a bit of detail, and hopefully there's breaking news to follow. But right now, I've said, generally speaking, I'll keep my powder dry till the window closes, because Celtic have shown that they can do the business, but we do tend to leave it late. But I understand there's some reasons why. But yeah, there are concerns, absolutely, in the striking positions. Paddy, we get to half-time, it's still, you know, only 2-1, and it takes us a while to kick on. We think on the break we've made it 3-1. Idah again heavily involved, and the offside is the call. We've seen it before with the VAR lines at Fir Park. I don't know if there's a reason why they can't get a better camera angle, but was it Jota that had one chopped off a couple of years ago, and it was an exceptional goal. It looks questionable. I don't think I'm sitting here questioning the integrity of the guys on VAR, but I just think if that's the info they had, the screen that they had, it doesn't allow them to make the informed decision you need in those kind of circumstances.
It's not an automated system. It's the human eye, and for me, the human eye says that he's level. I think so. I don't think I would be alone in that. I think it's a very difficult decision to make when it comes to that, but that's where we kind of go back to those days of, you know, does the striker not have the advantage anymore? I think it's bang on. I think they're both level, and I think it should have been a goal.
Yeah, so there's the disappointment, because you do feel that had Celtic got that was the 50th minute, and you feel had we scored that, we're good to go, you know, and you'd have kicked on sooner in the second half. There is, disappointment is not the word, because you can't win every game 4-5, 6-0, and that's fine, nor do you need to. You get the same 3 points for 3-1 as 10-0. But there is maybe a wee bit of frustration that we've not been able to kick on. People may point to the fact that we no longer have the Kyogo option and different things, but what was your general take on the fact that we never really put it to bed until that Jota moment?
But we didn't, right? But this is kind of what I'm going back to say. I think that when you look at the way that we performed for the remainder of the game, we were well in control of the game. We didn't look that Motherwell didn't put up much of a threat at all, to be honest. And yeah, I remember what you were saying with Chris Sutton, talking about the potential of him, the potential of taking Idah off, being a bit of an upset at the back. I think that for me, we didn't have anything that was thrown into us by Motherwell at all. We should have scored more. I just thought we were very, very comfortable in the full 90 minutes. But 2-1's obviously is a tricky result, so you want to make sure that you're getting, you want to make sure you're trying to get yourself out as clear as you possibly can. But I didn't really worry too much about it.
Yeah, it wasn't like you felt you're under pressure. And I said there's always the possibility that, you know, the set pieces, the long throw-ins, you know, can put you under that pressure. They weren't really happening either. Motherwell were really struggling to get their own half, to be honest with you. And yeah, they lacked any sort of cutting edge. And I don't know, maybe that's a resource thing. Obviously, the striker who scored in on loan, for example, they're maybe just struggling to get the right quality in. And as I say, Motherwell can ill afford to lose a guy of Lennon Miller's talent. I think they feel the absence of a player like that, and it showed at times. In terms of the stats, it felt more glaring in the second half, but just overall, possession 81% to 19 in Celtic's favour. Goal attempts 18-2 in our favour. 9 of our shots were on goal. 1 of theirs was on goal. They've had 1 shot off goal. They've had 0 block shots. They've had 1 big chance in the whole game, which they scored from. And they've had 3 corner kicks to our 10. You are in full control. So there will be some panicking online, and you get some stressy folk on Twitter and the likes, like, well, we've got to put these games to bed. We did put it to bed. It took us a wee bit longer, but we fully controlled it and we did put it to bed. And there's no real panic there. And I actually thought Celtic just managed the game through. And sometimes you've got to do that, Paddy.
Yeah, I think so. And I said, like, there wasn't much of a threat from Motherwell. And I think that, if anything, at points, it was knocking the ball about almost like it was a bit of a training ground drill when we were in the final third. A little bit more conviction would have been great, but I generally think that, like you say, if we get that goal, if that goal stands, the doors might have opened a wee bit. But Motherwell will have fancied themselves still being in the game, so they stuck to their guns and made sure they made it difficult for us. But they weren't offering much else. No, I generally thought we took care of the ball pretty well today, and really nice to see Luke McCowan today. I thought he was comfortable, and actually he done enough for me just to kind of go and shake things up a little bit again. Is he in the starting 11 for our bigger games? Still not yet, but he's definitely given the manager food for thought with the performances he's bringing when he is brought into the starting 11. So good game from him, and just a comfortable display from them. It wasn't worrying me too much at all.
No, I think McCowan is very valid to highlight, because I thought he was lively and sprightly, and he always offers that. He gets himself about. He never hides, and quite it's the opposite. In fact, he wants to get involved. He wants to play his part. He definitely played that part in terms of the second goal, that we pass, as I say, to Maeda to get the ball across for Idah. And I think, again, he can be pleased with his afternoon's work. You're right, he's maybe, it's not fair to say he's not ready for the Champions League games, the bigger games, but it is a huge jump in his career. If he plays a part against Bayern, and I hope in some way he does, I don't think he's ready to start a game like that, but I hope he plays a part somewhere. But that's a huge jump to be a guy who's playing for Dundee, playing very well for Dundee and captain in Dundee. But, you know, that's where he was 6 months-ish ago. And all of a sudden, you be coming up against one of the biggest hitters in Europe. But this is all part of his curve. This is all part of his progression. He's 27, I believe, at this moment in time. And maybe this one comes around too soon for him, but he'll continue to grow and develop. Just because you're 27 doesn't mean that's you finished in terms of developing as a player. He'll get better and better under Brendan Rodgers' guidance. And I think maybe it'll be into next season if we come up against a Bayern or someone like that, then maybe look, McKibben is ready. But at the moment, all he can do is what he's doing. Chip in domestically, play his part whenever given the opportunity. And I think he can be pleased with his afternoon's work. Almost forgot to mention, obviously, kind of some of the big news pre-match was that Callum McGregor would make his 500th appearance for the club this time out, and obviously he starts and captains the team once again. What did you think of his overall display at Fir Park?
Well, I'd seen someone in the group chat say it looks as if he's played 500 games this season. I think he was just a bit tired for the game on Wednesday. I think a few of them started to jade a little bit. I can't fault the guy for everything he's done for Celtic. I think he's been a great servant and just a brilliant captain for us as well. I could see today, I go back to just those little sticky passes. There was a few from him. But overall, in the second half, we ramped it up a bit. We even look at the state of play in terms of the offside goal for Nicholas Kuhn with the overhead kick. Great goal. Yeah. But just I think McGregor steps up a little bit more in the second half and keeps things ticking over for us. And a comfortable display, a couple of scary moments in the first half. Seen a few maybe saying he was at fault for the break for Motherwell's goal. Now there's still enough time for your defenders to help your midfielder out there, in my opinion. And I think that it's just another game for him. I want him to play as many times as he possibly can for Celtic. He's been excellent for us. But yeah, just a little bit jaded, but comfortable in the second half.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of that. I just wanted to ask you first, but I was generally of the opinion that he was fine today. He'll have better games, but he kept things ticking along. He did have a couple of shaky moments. You could debate, the first goal, but there's a long way to go from Callum McGregor to the ball ending up in the goalie's net. So I think that'd be quite a long shot. But absolutely, fine in terms of today. And overall, just real credit to a guy. You've got guys like Luke McCowan, for example, that we've spoken about there, who would feel himself lucky enough, first and foremost, to play once for Celtic. Callum McGregor's done it 500 times. It's incredible. I think there was a stat down the rounds from Declan McConville that some will know of. Declan had highlighted there's only like 13 or 14 players in our history that have played 500 games. So absolute credit to Callum McGregor and good luck to him on that achievement. Paddy, a couple of changes. So McCowan comes off and the 65th minute, Arne Engels replaces him. Then around about the same time, you've got Jota coming back in for Nicholas Kuhn. And it's the moment we'd all been waiting for. I thought Nicholas Kuhn, great technique for his overhead goal. He should probably have scored the first chance. And we know he was offside, of course. But he was a wee bit out of sorts. And I thought he was in and out of things at Villa as well. Do you think after such a phenomenal start to the campaign, he's maybe just, it's not a dip, I'm not suggesting that at all, but he's maybe just slightly below what he was at?
I think... yeah, potentially. I wouldn't worry so much about it. I kind of look at it as in Europe. Most good teams in Europe are putting attention down our left-hand side, a defence where we're at our weakest. So 9 times out of 10, that's where we're playing the ball out from, and 9 times out of 10, the guys are taking the route and trying to play down the left wing. So I think sometimes it can leave Kuhn look a bit cold out on the right-hand side, not much happening in those areas. Whereas I think that when you see him, when the start of the season, he's had an incredible return from him. I think that maybe the arrival of someone like Jota just gets him on his toes a wee bit more. Gets I mentioned it earlier, gets the tail up, gets him thinking it's not a foregone conclusion that I'm going to start every single week, so just need to be ready and continue that form that he has showed. But yeah, I would say maybe like looking at the young boys game, looking at the Aston Villa game, not his greatest performances. We know he can do much better, but even on his quiet days, even on his down days, he can still muster up something special. And I think he's a very special player as well. But I think when you look at him in the bigger games, most teams attack us in that left hand side, and actually we don't get a lot of joy down the right in those games because we're trying to pull it from the other side of the park. I think that's a big issue for us. In some of those games that we don't do it quick enough, but I think that he's still been a massive player for us, and I do think he'll kick on.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you've got I think talented players like Nicholas Kuhn, some players would feel threatened by the arrival of a guy like Jota. I think Nicholas Kuhn would embrace that. You're going to enjoy training and working with a guy like that, and you're certainly going to enjoy linking up on a match day. So I don't think there's any great concerns. And actually, it might be the wee spark that Kuhn needs just to get back on track. And as I say, there's no suggestion that there's any great concern over Nicholas Kuhn. But given the high standards that he's set so far this season, a slight dip is all it is. His numbers are phenomenal as well, Paddy. We've spoken often. I think Kuhn's get 16 for the season, and I think you've got Maeda now on 15, maybe 16. I'll need to check that. Plus the various assists from Maeda. So the numbers are absolutely there. I think it was also Daizen Maeda's 100th Scottish Premiership appearance for Celtic, and he continues just to rack up those numbers. So great to see. There's a couple of other changes. Yang comes on for Idah. We've spoken about Idah being replaced and the merits of that, but with about 10 minutes to go, Yang comes on, and then with about 5 to go of normal time, Liam Scales and Paulo Bernardo came in for Greg Taylor and Rio Hatai. Scales' hair is looking slick. He's gone for the full, I don't know, Eastern European gangster look. He's missing like a long leather black jacket, trench coat type thing, but he's gone for the full move, which is...
Have you seen the picture of him in the lineup for the game against Betis when we beat them 3-2 at Celtic Park at the end of the Europa League campaign? The picture of him in that, we can put it up after. In comparison to now, he looks as if he's aged about 40 years.
I think he's got the full middle shed going on, hasn't he, back in the day?
A few of my team Wilson's attempted the middle shed as well. Like, cut that out, boys. We're going back to the 90s there.
I've seen me right through high school, Paddy, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, so Scalesy comes in, him and Bernardo, not a great deal to speak of in terms of their contribution today. Although I do query the fact that we finished the game with a non-left back, in my opinion, at left back, and a non-striker in Maeda at striker. I know people keep going on about this. Tino, he plays striker for Japan. I know he does, but it's not his bread and butter. He is a winger. That's where he's at his best. And I think at the moment, I'll use the word that I've used, we're fudging it. We've fudged Maeda into the centre forward position. We've fudged Scales to the left back position. And I think that's maybe a highlight, Paddy, of the lack of genuine cover in those areas.
It is. I would say it's a plan C, not even a plan B. I think that for me, like you're saying, it's his best position. I get that. It's his best position for Celtic because he wasn't coming in and taking the jersey off Kyogo in that position. I think that he did play it with Yokohama before he joined us as well, and he had a lot of joy with him. I think he finished a top goal scorer that season before joining us. He is a goal scorer, and I think that that's what Japan's seen in him as well. And I think ultimately, you've kind of got to look at the fact that he was keeping Kyogo away from that starting lineup during the World Cup of 22. I'm not against him playing there. I'm really not. I think it's natural to him. I think we've alluded to it in the show before that Rodgers calls Kuhn and Maeda the inside forwards. But I do think it's a last resort. I would agree with you there, and I do still think we need another player in terms of the size of the squad, in terms of any injuries like you've mentioned. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the experiment in Maeda up front. If we don't get anyone, I think that's what we're going to have to rely on.
I think we're absolutely certain to see more of it unless there's moves. As I say, in the next 24 hours, what time is it now? It's 5:30. We've got till 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So plug the fax machine on Celtic and get ready for doing some business. I think it's absolutely required. And as I say, we will go into this more in detail in tomorrow night's show. The one thing, I'll just gloss over the fact that I'm a big Yang fan, but I thought the move would have been Johnny Kenny. I thought that might have been just a more natural fit, but it's clear the manager wants to give Maeda time through the middle, and that's why he's made that move.
Yeah.
Johnny Kenny, two things. He may need to just be patient and get some minutes here and there like he did against Ross County, a few weeks back, and he made an impact. Or he may go back out on loan. I'm really not sure, and I think a lot of that does depend on the next 24 hours for Celtic in terms of what that looks like for Johnny Kenny. Kenny Carmichael, that I mentioned, good pal and good friend of the show, just joined up as a member. He made a comment, so we'll get to Jota now. Jota's on for 25 minutes and had the most shots on goal of anyone on the park. He must be in the top 5 wingers we've had. Then he has to put the bit in brackets. It says Yang must be in the 5 worst. Sorry, Tino. Apology not accepted, Kenny. But it's a fair point. Paddy, we've covered the goal, we've covered the celebration, we've covered the emotions from Jota. But there is no doubt he came on with not a point to prove, but just an eagerness to remind all of us what he's got to offer.
Well, the challenge will have been set from the manager of go and show that you're ready to play in what's going to be our biggest game of the season in 2 weeks. So I think that's the focus for Jota. I think all the body language specialists, all the fitness specialists would maybe have realised that he's been training. He's been part of the Ren team for the full season. He looks ready to go. I don't think it's going to take him long to get up to match speed at all. And people are saying he's looking slighter. He didn't look any different from what I watched when he was playing with us the first time round. And I just think that it's an exciting time to get a player of this calibre coming back into our team. And whether it is an hour here or there for the next 2 games, or whether it's 30 minutes here or there for the next 2 games. Maggie's disagreeing with me there. I was going to say the cat's changed its voice. But for me, and I hope Maggie agrees with this point, 100% he'll be starting against Bayern Munich.
I'll let you continue, Paddy. I'll deal with the dog.
That's fine. I'll ramble on about why I think he'll start. Obviously, Maggie's disagreeing with this opinion, but I just think he offers so much to us, and I think what we lost and how upset we were to lose him, and he went out with a bang in terms of getting his goal in the Scottish Cup final. We were all looking at the hug, the embrace between him and Ange, and all thinking to ourselves, God, it's goodbye to Ange. None of us thought that we were going to lose Jota, but it happened. We couldn't say no to that money. Absolutely not. But we've got him at the age of 25, and I just think he will be itching to prove, you know what, I've made a mistake in moving to Saudi Arabia to play football. I can do it on the highest stage in European football. Watch me. And I think no better place to start than this game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, spot on. Have to say, Paddy, impressive rambling there as Maggie the dog went Tonto. Good to see a complete professional. But yeah, it's just so exciting to have him back, and that's the next step. I thought he looked perfectly fit. He's maybe not 100% football fit, but he's a fit young man. There was all the things. He looks a bit slim in his pictures and all that stuff. He looks just like a finely tuned athlete, which is what he is. But he'll get stronger and sharper and all these things over the next couple of weeks as he continues to train. And the target has got to be to get him fit enough to start against the Bayern Munich, and whether he does or not is then a call for the manager. If that game comes this midweek, he's not ready, but you've got that wee bit extra time, and we'll see what that holds. Obviously, he does get the goal, Paddy, makes it 3-1 in your home and hose. We've spoken, as I say, about the celebrations. What about the bigger picture in terms of domestic stuff? So we remain 10 clear, but obviously we've got a game in hand over Rangers. They won comfortably against Ross County today. We've now got 14 league games to go. Do you have any concerns, generally speaking, about where we're at in terms of that?
No. I honestly, I think that we're in such a strong place at the moment. Again, we are talking about the size of the squad and the players that have left in January, and I totally understand that. But for me, I think that we go into this week hopefully with some additions. Absolutely, I would love that. But we go into this week with the squad being managed well. We've got a full strong 11 to play against Dundee on Wednesday. We then look at Raith Rovers. Do we kind of bring in some of the players that have played today? And then you're looking at a very strong 11 to start the game next week against Bayern Munich. So, it's all very exciting. It's where we want to be. I think the cushion in the league, 100%, it brought in a little bit of complacency, but we've also got to remember the amount of games we played over December and January was ridiculous. We've now got an addition to that with the postponed rescheduled game against Dundee. The games have been thick and fast, so to expect us to play at the level where we're playing at the beginning of the season is wishful thinking. And I think that when you look at how it's been managed, how he got the players that he needed ready to be back and give it full pelt against Young Boys, which we should have won by 2 or 3 easily. The players were excellent in the first half, died off a little bit in the second, just probably through nerves, to be honest. And then the display down at Villa as well. And again, like 3 big changes, 3 big players that we lost for that game. It just shows you the belief within the full squad at the moment. So I think that whole team's getting managed really well. A lot of players have had minutes this season, which has been massive for us too. And I just think that we do have a lot of players that we can call on. We just need to kind of look at some of the positions that are sitting a little bit light.
Yeah, and I think also, to a huge extent, we hit the dizzy heights early in the season. Some of the football was brilliant. You know, I go back to it a lot, but the Leipzig game, the Aberdeen game, semi-final at Hampden, and a couple of other games around that time, there was some really impressive stuff going on, but you cannot maintain that level throughout the season. You'll always have ups and downs, all good sides at all levels. That's just part of it. But that's another reason why I think this January window, closing in 24 hours or so, could be so important, because it just gives a wee bit of an injection to the team, a bit of freshness, a couple of new faces around, and just to give the place a lift again. Not that the place is in huge need of a lift. They should be feeling good about themselves in terms of where they're at, what they're currently doing in Europe. But I just think it gives you a wee boost and nudges you up that wee bit further. Paddy, we'll have a very quick look ahead to this week in terms of Dundee and Raith Rovers. Before I do so, big thanks to Ross Crawford, who's made a contribution to the show. Thanks to Ross. And also to Fred Williams. Fred is an ongoing supporter of the show. So thanks to Ross and Fred for that. Paddy, as you rightfully say, we've got this game on Wednesday against Dundee. Some folks argued that actually it wasn't a bad time that it was postponed just a week ago on Saturday, because it allowed the team to breathe a wee bit after the relentless schedule, gave you a wee bit of extra prep getting into the Villa game, which is all very true, but the game has to be played somewhere, and we get it this week. And again, it just lands, there's maybe no ideal time for it, because it lands in the midst of a very busy schedule, where Celtic are competing on 3 fronts. So we've got Dundee in the league on Wednesday, Raith in the Cup at the weekend, and then it's back into European action. It comes thick and fast, and there needs to be rotation within that. It's impossible not to, and to keep those levels.
Yeah, but you still, listen, I've said this a long time before, and now, especially with 2 extra Champions League games, it's clear that we need to kind of look at Scottish football looking after their teams in Europe as well. And I go to the split with that, because we don't have the calendar. We have obviously the organised dates, but there's plenty of availability at the end of the season to postpone games as well, you know. And I think that it's great that we can obviously, the games aren't getting as cancelled as much as they used to, but I still think that there's got to be an element of player safety. No winter break this season as well. I know that they're bringing that back next year, but just extend the season, or for any of those postponed games, bring it to April or May. I think that it's pretty poor that we're still in a position where we're having to play so many games in such a small period of time as well.
Yeah, I'd also like to see, obviously you can't change it mid-season, but I would like to see all the Scottish teams, whoever it might be, St Mirren, Killie, Hearts, Celtic, Aberdeen, nobody else. But I'd like to see all the teams, seriously speaking, supported. You know, if there's qualifiers at the start of the campaign, it's in everybody's interest. It's in the interest of Scottish football as a whole. You know, the coefficient and everything that comes with that, the money that we bring into the country and bring into football in Scotland. And you've got teams, I think this season, you know, St Mirren and Killie spring to mind, teams that don't have huge resources, having to scrape about, coming back, you know, early for pre-season, playing games maybe at the end of June, you know, things like that. It's so hard. And I just wonder if there's more Scottish football can do in different ways to support these teams, maybe allow them to start their league campaign a wee bit later or something. You know, there's creative minds out there that can think of these solutions. And I just think we need to do what we can to support the teams in Europe, because it is so important in the bigger picture. But obviously we are concerned about what Europe might bring, but San Fran has no such concerns. He says that Bayern are playing away to second place Leverkusen 3 days before we meet in the Allianz Arena. We've got this. He's absolutely comfortable and confident that we've got that tie in the bag, so no such concerns. Another comment from JP, good to see JP here. He says, "Hi lads, great game today, great result. Idah and Maeda causing mayhem with their movement. Hatate looking back to his best." And I think that's pretty fair comment as well. Paddy, as we start to wrap things up, as I say, we're going to get into transfer stuff and everything else in more detail on the weekly show tomorrow night. But in the meantime, your final thoughts for this one?
Yeah, just great to see Jota back. Great to see him scoring. An incredible signing. Hopefully a couple of more in the door tomorrow. It's not panic stations if we don't know. I really, really believe that. I think that we've had such a really, really strong season. There is a cushion there in the league. We do have the team to go full tilt and see what we can do in Europe. Can we go and cause an upset? Absolutely. Why not? But I also think domestically we've got enough about us to go into the Scottish Cup as well. So, we'll see where we're at tomorrow at 11 o'clock. But I'll not lose the rag.
Nah. No, don't get your panicking in too soon. There's plenty of time for that. But no, thanks, Barry. Thanks for joining us here on a Sunday after a really good and overall a very comfortable win for Celtic Park. The headlines will all go to Jota, and rightfully so. Just brilliant to see him back. Brilliant to see him with the number 7 on his back, and he looks like he's never been away. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in on the live with your various comments and questions, and thanks to everyone who continues to support us here at the Celtic Exchange. Remember, if you listen to the podcast and want to enjoy ad-free listening and early access to our weekly show, then visit the Celtic Exchange.supercast.com. There is a link in the show notes for how you can do so. But in the meantime, for myself and Paddy, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you again soon for the weekly show. All the best, guys.